start again. Okay. All right. So this is the main class session. Welcome again to session 5. So here we will be covering BW. So now we are starting the BW for HANA. So far we were dealing with native HANA modeling only, but now we are dealing and we will start our journey into BW objects. So we will look into the data flow, BW for HANA data flow, which is LSA++, right? We all should be familiar with what is LSA++. Then we will look into the different objects in the BW for HANA and what are their purposes. We look at the new content, the standard content, what is provided. We'll have a look into that. Then we will compare the old objects versus new objects in BW for HANA. And also we will do the introduction of logistics cockpit, how it has changed, what has changed with S4 HANA and BW for HANA. And then there are some important links I have kept for you guys to bookmark it. Those will be important for us to refer time and again. And then if time permits, we will also start the activation of LO cockpit data sources and enhancement of the LO cockpit data sources using the BADI process, which is the default now. RSU5 underscore SAPI underscore BADI. This is the default way. This BADI is not a new BADI. This BADI has been there for some time now, but now it has become the default way to enhance your BW for HANA data sources. So in the backend, your code will not check the CMOD code as a first step. As a first step, the data source code will check BADI implementations. If there are any BADI implementations, if there are, then it will execute that code first. And when it doesn't find, or if it doesn't find any BADI implementation, then it will go to CMOD code. So don't think that with this BADI or CMOD is obsolete. It's not. CMOD, your code will continue to run, but that's no more the default step one. Step one has been changed to BADI. So if time permits, we will do that enhancement using BADI. Okay. Okay, one more thing is, I don't know, I should cover this because we are already way over time. Yeah, in the last class, Suman and few other people were interested to know how to do delta when there is nothing in the source which can identify the delta, especially with smart data access. So I can go into that and show you a very easy way. Actually, I forgot last time to mention that there is an out of the box easy way to do it, and that is called flow graphs in a native HANA. But again, it's going to take a little bit of time. So here's my proposal. You guys tell me what's good. Either I can show you the flow graph, how to create flow graph and how the delta is identified, or we take it post session. Like instead of Q&A, post session Q&A, we will go to flow graphs. What do you guys want?
Post session Q&A.
Okay, yeah. So we will park it for now. So post session, we will look into how to identify delta and how to implement SCDs, slowly changing dimensions via flow graphs in native HANA. So I'm going to show you that. Okay, so let's start with the BW journey. So first thing first, you have to know the basic flow of data from S4 to BW to reporting layer. Okay, so this is a picture where it is showing LSA++ architecture. So there are three boxes here. I'll start with the bottom. So in the bottom, we have the S4 HANA, which is our main source for our training landscape as well. And in S4, the way the data is structured is there are base tables. Of course, we have tables for individual modules, SD, MM, FI, etc. And then we have CDS views also. So now on top of the table, there is another abstraction layer, and that layer is CDS view layer. So it is just like a HANA calculation view. Just the difference is it is in ABAP layer and it is created in ABAP layer. So we have now CDS views also. And on top of these CDS views or tables, we have something called data sources, BW data sources. These data sources, the standard ones and the classic ones, reside in S4, most of them, except for the new types, which is CDS view based data sources. They will reside in BW side, not in S4 side anymore. But let's talk about the standard ones, the ones which we are familiar with, like the Hello Cockpit or the FI data sources or other data sources. They are still there in RSA5 in S4HANA. RSA5 is a T code to see your data sources. So S4HANA will have the data sources, and from the data sources, the data will start to go into BW for HANA, B4H. In BW for HANA, there are 3 layers. LSA++ recommends 3 layers. It's not mandatory for you to have these layers. It's a best practice and recommendation. Okay. It's not a technical showstopper for you that you have to create these layers. No, you can create whatever flow you want. You are free to do that. But to maintain organized data flow, to maintain consistency, and to maintain reusability, there is a recommended layered architecture. LSA stands for layered scalable architecture, meaning you should have certain layers because you can reuse those layers into higher layers, and it will also give you a consistent data flow across all your modules. So that is why LSA++ is recommended. Previously, we used to have LSA, and now with BW for HANA, LSA++ is recommended. So what is LSA++? First layer is called staging layer, sometimes also called corporate memory layer, sometimes also called your open ODS layer. So there are 3 names, popular names. Some people staging, some people call it corporate memory, some people can call it open ODS layer. So if you hear these 3 terms in blogs, in videos, online, don't get confused. It is one and the same layer, which is your staging layer. This staging layer is primarily made out of advanced DSOs. Okay. But there is a special property of advanced DSO, which is called field based only, meaning you are not including info objects there, you are only keeping it field based. And there is just one table, which is inbound table. So DSO has some bunch of tables, 3 tables mainly. One is inbound, one is active data, one is change log. And then there are certain DB views. One is for extraction, one is for reporting. So we'll look into that when we will discuss ADSO in detail. But just from an LSS standpoint, understand this, that these ADSOs are field-based single table ADSOs. Okay, it mimics the behavior of write-optimized DSO of the past. Okay, with the difference that these are not info object based. Usually, these are field-based. So this is your first layer. In the first layer, you can also have virtual access. This is persistent access. That means data will get stored in these ADSOs. But if you want to have virtual access, you can have open ODS views, which will allow the virtual access to data. That means you don't have to actually load the data. You can look into the data virtually without loading into BW. So that's why it's also called open ODS layer, because you can use open ODS views in this particular layer. Once the data is staged here or virtually accessed here, then it goes to the next layer, which is called integrated data warehousing layer. This is also made out of advanced DSOs, but now the difference is these will be mostly info object based, because you will need info object based services at this layer. What are those services? Your navigation attribute is one type of out of the box service. Your hierarchies is another type of out of the box service. Your analysis authorizations is another. Planning is another. Inventory management is another. All these services require info objects. So that's why this layer is made of advanced DSO with info objects. Here you can have 2 types of advanced DSO. Okay. What are the 2 types? The first one is standard and the second one is data mart. So you can have both types of ADSOs in integrated data warehousing layer. In staging layer, it was staging ADSO. Okay. Not your data mart, not your standard. Standard and data mart will come in second layer, which is integrated data warehousing layer. Again, data is persistently stored here. Okay. And finally, you have the third layer, which is your virtual data mart layer, which is primarily composed of composite providers. So multi-provider is gone. It is no more used. InfoCube is gone. It is no more used. It's not even possible for you to create a multi-provider in BW for HANA or an InfoCube in BW for HANA. If you try to create it, there is no option. So advanced DSOs of type staging, in the staging layer, advanced DSOs of type data mart and standard in integrated data warehousing layer. And then finally your virtual data mart layer, which is composite provider. And on top of the composite providers, we will have BW queries. Again, Bex is gone. Bex is no more there. We will create the queries within Eclipse. Okay, you don't have to log in into any separate tool to create the query. Within Eclipse, it is created and it is called BW Analytic Query, or in short, BW Query. So that is created in Eclipse. That is on top of, usually on top of composite provider. It can also be on top of the ADSOs. Okay, but as a best practice, we will create them on top of composite providers. OpenODS views also can be directly accessed in a query, or it can be accessed in a composite provider and then in a query. Both are possible scenarios. Okay. And then finally, once the BW for HANA data is loaded, queries are created. Those queries will be utilized by your reporting tool, which is outside BW for HANA. Say, for example, you have SAP tools highlighted in blue and non-SAP tools in white. SAP tools are SAC, cloud-based, which is SAP Analytics Cloud, which we will have as an end result of this training. We will create the models and stories there. Then you have the on-premise tools, which are business objects like Lumira and Webby and Crystal reports. And then you have Excel-based reporting also, which is analysis for Office, which is an Excel-based reporting. These are the three primary tool set from SAP. And then you can have third-party tools also, which is Power BI or Tableau or Click or Cognos, etc. These are some popular third-party tools which sits on top of BW for HANA, and you can generate your reports. Different tools will use different technologies in the backend. Some will use ODBC, Open Database Connectivity. Some will use Java-based drivers or adapters, which is Java Database Connectivity, JDBC. And some of the proprietary SAP tools uses BICS, okay, BI Consumer Services, which is a proprietary way or a proprietary technology from SAP to access the OLAP objects, such as advanced DSOs, composite providers, etc. So this in totality is your LSA++. Okay, just remember there are three layers: staging, the integrated data warehousing layer, and virtual data mart layer. That's it. Okay, don't get confused because there are a lot of blogs and lot of material on LSA++. Okay, and if you try to read them, there is a chance that you will get confused that which layer is used when. So just remember that there are three layers, and there is a, what happens is, I think I have not depicted here, but there is a parallel flow. Parallel flow means the one flow will go from your data source to your staging ADSO, and it will stop there. This line, staging ADSO to my advanced DSO of type standard or data mart, is usually not a part of regular flow. It is only a part of a flow where you are trying to resolve a problem. Like, for example, there's a data inconsistency and client says that you have to reload 2019 data, say for example, or you have to reload plant 100, 200, 300 data. Then you will go to your staging ADSO and load the data, but not in the daily basis. In the daily basis, there is a parallel flow. Parallel flow means there is data source. From data source, there is a transformation, and then it goes to info source. And from info source, it goes directly to the integrated data warehousing layer, ADSOs. So that is usually the LSA++ flow. So I'm sorry I didn't show that flow, but basically there are two flows. One goes to staging ADSO, stops there. Okay, I'm talking about the daily flow. And then there's a parallel flow from data source to info source to your integrated data warehousing layer, ADSOs. This flow from staging to the integrated data warehousing layer will only be used when there is a problem and you have to reload the data, or you have to rebuild your ADSOs of the integrated data warehousing layer. But technically, there is no like hard and fast rule that you have to have a parallel flow. You can have this flow also from data source to advanced DSO of staging layer, and then from the staging layer to the integrated data warehousing layer. That is also possible. Okay, there is no hard and fast rule. LSA++ standard content follows the parallel flow. I don't know what exactly is the reason for that parallel flow. Maybe because if there's an issue in this particular load, your load to the main ADSO is not hampered, and if it's successful, then it can continue while you fix the problem in the staging ADSO. Maybe that can be one of the reasons, but usually there's a parallel flow from your data source to your advanced DSO of integrated data warehousing layer. Okay, this is LSA++. So please keep this diagram or keep this architecture in mind, which is exactly what we are going to build in the system. Okay, so let's look at some definitions of the important objects in BW for HANA. So first you have to understand the basic difference between S4 HANA and BW for HANA. Most of you know it, but I'll just reiterate it for our understanding. S4 HANA is SAP's ERP system. ERP means transaction system, OLTP. It's also called OLTP. That means it is meant to write data in it. On a daily basis, people are posting transactions. Sales guys, logistics guys, plant maintenance, inventory, finance guys, everybody is posting transactions in ERP. So it's a transaction system. So the latest version is S4 HANA 1909. The BW for HANA is a data warehousing solution, not a transaction system. That's why it's called OLAP, O-L-A-P, okay, where the primary purpose is to read data, okay. The primary purpose of S4 HANA is to write, and the primary purpose of BW for HANA is to read, okay. That does not mean that read does not happen on S4 HANA. Read can happen and write also can happen, or it does happen because we are loading data from different sources. That's a write in BW for HANA. So it is both operations are happening, but the primary purpose is different. Purpose of S4 HANA is transactions. Purpose of BW for HANA is to generate reports and consolidate data from various sources and then generate reports. That's the primary purpose. So tables in S4, the database tables in S4 HANA, where all the data sits, is denormalized. Okay. So now with S4 HANA, the tables are consolidated. Okay. Previously in ECC, we used to have multiple tables, but now they're all being consolidated. And the reason for that is because we have HANA, which is a very powerful database, and we no more need to have aggregate tables. We no more need to build unnecessary indexes. So everything can be in one table, and multiple modules can report from one table. So that's being possible now with HANA's capability. Otherwise, we used to have multiple tables, multiple aggregate tables, and it was primarily your normalized tables. Okay, so now it is being consolidated. So you will find fewer tables in S4 HANA. Finance, like for example, AC Doka or AC Doc P or AC Doc T. So there are 3 or 4 tables which are the main tables for the finance actuals and plans, and few other tables for other finance data. But there is no more like your AP had different tables, your AR had different tables, and then your GL had different tables. So all that is now being converged into AC Doka, and with the document type field, you can differentiate between either this is an AP or an AR or a GL posting. So the consolidation is happening now in S4 HANA. From a BW standpoint, you have to know what are the different objects in BW for HANA. We'll start with data source. What is a data source? For a BW for people who are not from BW background, this is very important for you to understand. The data source of a BW for HANA, data source meant for BW for HANA, is a combination of 2 things. First is structure. So it's going to give you a fixed structure. Okay, that means these are the fields in the data sources. And the second thing is the logic to populate the structure. That logic can be a code, which is a function module. It can be a function module. It can be a CDS view code, or it can be just a table. Okay, simple table with no specific logic. So there are 2 things which make up a data sources: the structure and the logic. If you combine these two, you will find a data source. And there are standard data sources, out of the box data sources provided by SAP. Then info object. What is an info object? Info object is the lowest data container in BW. That means it is the lowest storage of data where you can persist your data. That is the lowest granularity in BW. So just like if I open an Excel sheet, okay, what is the lowest granularity in an Excel sheet to input data? A cell. Cell is the lowest granularity to contain your data. Then you can have a combination of cells which can make a row or a column, so on and so forth. And then a sheet, and then multiple sheets make a workbook. So that's an Excel. So if I have to compare with Excel, your info object is nothing but a cell, the lowest granularity where the data is stored. Similarly, field is another lowest data container in BW. So info object and field are the lowest data container. Previously, it was only info object, but now with BW on HANA and BW for HANA, fields can be directly used in your advanced DSOs. So that's why info object and field are your lowest granularity where you can store data. Then comes advanced DSO. Advanced DSO is the next level data storage container. It is made up of either info objects or fields or both. You can have a hybrid mixed approach also. Some are info objects, some are fields. That's also possible. So that is a combination of fields or info object or a mix. That means it is a sheet. So what is a sheet in Excel? It's a combination of cells, right? Similarly, an advanced DSO is a combination of info objects or fields. Okay, that's how you should understand it. So it's just like a sheet in an Excel. What is OpenODS view? OpenODS view does not store data. It's a virtual container. That means it is one of the two objects which are meant to virtually access data without storing it. So the first one is OpenODS view, and the second virtual object in BW for HANA is composite provider. So please remember, for storing the data, we have two objects. For virtually accessing the data, we have two objects. Storing the data, we have info object and advanced DSO. And virtually accessing it, we have OpenODS views and composite provider. So these are virtual containers. These two are your virtual containers. These two are your actual persistent containers. Then, what is a DTP? DTP stands for data transfer process, and that is an agent which is responsible to load the data from the source to BW for HANA. So that means this is the guy who will go into the source, get the data, store it into these data containers. Okay, that is the main agent or the main loading object. Previously, in prior BW versions, we used to have info package IP, which is gone now. It is obsolete, and DTP has taken its place. Previously also we used to have DTP, but it was a combination IP and then DTP. But now there is no IP, no info package. DTP is the only data loading agent existing in BW for HANA. So now it is capable of going to source and fetching the data from the source. Then while doing the data loading, if you want to transform data, if you want the data to change, if you want to write some logic, okay, then that is written in something called a transformation. There is an object which connects two different sources, and what you write in the transformation is the logic you want. So even if you want 1:1, no logic, then also you have to use a transformation. And if you want to use a logic, then also you will use transformation. So it solves both the purpose. It connects. It's basically a connection between your info providers. So these are called info providers. Info providers can be virtual info providers or persistent info providers. And the connectivity between two info providers is your transformation. DTP loads the data from the source to the target and works hand in hand with transformation. That means when DTP will load the data, it will go to the source, fetch the data, then it will come to the transformation and it will ask, hey buddy, can you tell me if you have any logic? Should I transform data as per your logic? And transformation will say, yes, I have logic written. This is the logic. Please transform the data. The data will be transformed and stored into the target. So transformation is basically your connection between your info providers, providing also the logic, if any. Then you have BI content. Okay, it's also called standard content, meaning you don't have to start your project afresh. There are already SAP has given you a lot of ADSOs, lot of composite providers, lot of transformations, lot of DTPs already there for different modules. For SD you have, for FI you have, for inventory you have, so on and so forth. So you don't have to start everything from scratch. Just activate the standard content. Okay, by default it is inactive. Okay, it's in the content version. You have to activate it. So that's step number one. Once you activate the content, then you should copy it. You should not use it as it is. You should make a copy of that content and then start doing all your modifications in the copied version. Why? Because say for example, if there's an upgrade and SAP changes the standard content, and if you are using directly the standard content, then your development will be impacted, your projects will be impacted. So as a best practice, we always activate it, copy it, and then use it. And then finally, we have customized objects, which will start with Z star or Y star. This is the customer name namespace usually. You can have other namespaces also, but these are the most frequently used namespaces. And if your standard BI content does not satisfy your client requirement, then we go for customized objects, meaning from scratch, we will create an ADSO or transformation or a routine which does not exist in standard content. And then we'll write customer specific logic. So in a nutshell, these are all the objects in BW for HANA. So as you can see, InfoCube is gone. As you can see, InfoSet is gone. As you can see, virtual provider is gone. So there are a lot of things which have become, info package has gone. So these are the things which have become obsolete and replaced by newer objects. Okay. So I spoke about the standard content. So this is the link for the standard content. If you click on the link, you will see that it will take you to the help.sap.com website. And you can see that we have BW for HANA content add-on. You can select your version from here, whatever BW versions you are dealing with. So we are on SP4 in our training landscape. So I have chosen SP4, but if you are on SP5 or 3 or 2 or even 1.0, you can jump to that specific version. And then you can see what is the standard content. That means LSA++, new content in BW for HANA. You have for finance, FICO, you have the standard content. You have for supply chain management. You have for asset management. You have for real estate, quality management, utilities, etc. So this link is important. That's why I've given this link. Bookmark this link. If you want to check the new LSA++ standard content, then you come here and you can look at it. Okay, just to give you a glimpse of how our LSA++ standard content looks like. Okay, this is the flow for on-premise S4HANA. So if you have S4HANA on-premise, then you can see that the LSA++ will look like this. So this is for the sales, delivery, and billing. I've just given an example. So again, as I told you, there are 3 layers. What are the 3 layers? Staging layer, integrated data warehousing layer, and virtual data mart layer. Okay. Now observe this. Say for example, for sales header data, we have this standard data source 2LIS_11_VA HDR. This is the standard SAP given data source. When you activate the complete flow, there will be 2 flows, parallel flow, which I spoke about. One flow will go till the staging ADSO, which is a field-based single table ADSO, and your daily load will stop there. There is a parallel flow which goes directly from data source to your info source, and then via that info source, it will go to the ADSO. Actually, you know what? I just realized I should include info source here. Okay. InfoSource is not obsolete. InfoSource is very much alive, and it is a part of your BW for HANA. So it is basically doesn't store data. It does not store any data. Okay, it's to combine multiple sources to multiple targets with different logic. And it is also sometimes used as a logical join in BW for HANA and for reusability also. So say for example, from the info source to target, you just want one logic, but from the different sources, you want different transformations coming to that info source, then it is also used. So it is also used for consolidation of source logic to one single target logic. So if you have something like that, then also info sources are used. So as you can see in the SD flow, what they are doing is from the data source, they are directly going to the info source, and via info source, they are going to the integrated data warehousing layer ADSO. This can be a standard ADSO also. This can be a data mart ADSO also. Okay, that's both are possible. If you want a cube-like behavior, info cube of the past, then you will go for data mart ADSO. If you want a DSO of the past behavior, then you will go for standard ADSO. So that's the difference when you will use which one. And then finally, we will have the virtual data mart layer, which is your composite providers. So these are all your composite providers. If you have S4 on cloud, okay, then they have started to release the CDS view based data sources. These are the CDS view based data sources. Again, the flow is more or less the same. We have the CDS view data sources, which will start with 0C or 0I. Okay, C is for consumption CDS views, I is for interface CDS views. So when we discuss CDS views, I'll tell you the difference. But they will always start with either 0C or 0I, the data sources, new data sources. And then it's the same thing, staging, ADSO is there, a parallel flow via info source, it goes to integrated data warehousing layer ADSO, and then we have a virtual data mart layer. So beyond the data source, the flow is the same. The only change is these are the new data sources, and you will not find these data sources in RSA5. You will find these data sources in BW side. Okay, that's a major difference between the previously standard data sources versus new CDS view based data sources. Okay. Yeah. So another one, which is the new PMS CDS view plant maintenance, they have given 0I. For plant maintenance, they have given 0I. And previously we used to have 17, 2LS, 17. These are the on-premise one. I think both are on-premise. So what I wanted to show you is even in on-premise, now SAP has started to release the CDS view based data sources, and you can find them in your BW side. Let's see if one of them is there. Let me log in. So we log into both S4 and BW and see where we can find this particular data source. 0I underscore location analysis cube. Okay, please remember the name. And I'll log into S4 also. So S4 and BW both I'm logging in via Eclipse. So you don't have to navigate out of Eclipse. Everything you can do within Eclipse itself. Okay, so I'll open the SAP logon. Okay, what is the shortcut key to open the SAP logon pad here? Anyone? This you should have it on your fingertips. This one. This is the most frequently used shortcut.
F6. F6.
F6? No.
Control 6.
Control 6. Yes. Don't forget that should be on your fingertips. Control 6, and then you can choose the project, whether it's BW or S4. Okay. So I'll use BW. And then another Control 6, or new session means another Control 6, and then you go for S4 HANA. So let's see. Previously, in our old ways, what we used to do was we used to go to RSA5. Okay, which is the repository of all the standard data sources we used to have. Okay. Say for example, I used to find 2LIS, the standard one. So let me find 2LIS underscore 11 underscore VHDR. Oh, no hits. Why, guys? I'm finding no data source. Why? Should be here. Why it's giving me no data source? Anyone?
CDS view, no, now in B4.
Need to expand.
No, so CDS2 does not mean that the old one is gone.
No, you need to expand SAP-R3.
Correct, exactly. Exactly. That's the basic step, guys. In RSA5, you have to first click here on the top and you have to expand everything. Then only you will be able to find. I don't know why this behavior, okay, but this is a little weird behavior, but that's SAP. Okay, so 2LS VHDR, click on it. Now you'll find the data source. It's there. Okay, so the standard data sources are very much there. They are not obsolete. The newer ones are now gradually being released in parallel to them. So even if you have CDS view based data sources, your standard one, your older ones will still be there up to maybe few more years. Maybe later on they will transition, but they are very much there and very much used. Okay. Now let's find this guy. 0i location analysis cube. Is the spelling correct, guys?
I think you need to check in BW, not in here, right?
That's what I want to see. I want to prove that theory, right? So first we'll check in S4.
Sorry.
So no data source in S4. You're right. I'm just coming to that. See, I wanted to show on the system that even if you try to find it, you will not find these data sources in S4 side. So what you will find in S4 side then? What will you find?
The CDS view probably not.
Correct. Exactly. The CDS view, which is feeding this data source, that you will find in S4. And how do you find CDS views? Anyone?
You have to go to the ABAP project and find the CDS view with removing the 0 in the front actually.
Correct. So what is the shortcut? What is the shortcut to find the ABAP layer objects in Eclipse? Again, another very important shortcut you all have to remember. Control Shift A. Control Shift A. Okay. Very frequently used and very useful. Why? Because it gives you, as you type, it will start listing down your objects. So if I type 0i underscore location, let's see if something comes up. Nothing comes up. Why nothing is coming up?
You should delete the 0 in the front.
Exactly. Yes. So this is the difference between data source and CDS view. The data source will start with 0. Your CDS view will not start with 0. It will start without the 0. And the moment you remove the 0, your CDS views will start showing up. So what was that? Location what? Guys, anyone remember that? What was the name?
Analysis cube.
Analysis cube. There you go. That's my CDS view on which the data source is based on. So CDS view I'm able to find in S4. So if you want to have a look, there will be 3 entities for any CDS view. This is your data definition. This is your actual CDS view. This is your access control. Okay, access control also they have created, but there'll be a view, DB view also, which will be created. So if you want to see the definition, you have to go to the DDL source file. So let's click on that. And there you can see what is the logic for the data source, which is feeding. Okay, they have defined this CDS view where it is taking the data from another CDS view with some associations. And then they have some annotations, and these are all your fields. And then they have some transformation happening, case statements. They're having some cast statement. Cast statement means to convert the data type, so on and so forth. Again, these are associations. Association means another CDS view. So it's a hierarchy of CDS view. One CDS view is another using another one. if you want to check this particular CDS view, okay, I maintain notification tech objects. So you can directly jump to that particular CDS view. Say, for example, association, say this one I want to see. So just click on it and right click and say navigate to. So once you say navigate to, it's going to open that CDS view. Okay. Again, this is again based on another CDS view, iWork Center. So if you click on it, navigate to, it will go to the definition of that CDS view. So these CDS views, this analysis cube CDS views are a hierarchy of various views. Okay. And if you want to check in one shot, no, I don't want to go through view on view on view on view. I want to see what are the base tables used in the CDS view. That's my requirement. Okay. I'm not going to go view after view. That's a tedious job. So there's an easy way to find out what are the different base tables used for this CDS view. And the way you will do it is right click on the CDS view and you say open with, and there are multiple options in open with. You have to go for dependency analyzer. So once you click on dependency analyzer, what it's going to do is it's going to create a tree for you, and that tree will give you what are the base tables which are used. Okay. Object type is database table. Very well, you'll see this is your base table. So immediately you will know what are the different base tables associated with this particular CDS view. These are all database tables. Okay. So this is an easy way to find out what are the different views. These are all views. Okay. CDS view, and what are the base tables used in that particular CDS view. So don't worry, when we'll go to CDS view, we will discuss further in detail, but I just want to give you a glimpse of the tools available to work with CDS views. Okay, so now we found the CDS view. Now let's go back to our BW side and we'll go to RSA 1. Okay, and then I'll go for standard content. Okay, question to you guys. Can my standard content be accessible on the web? Is it possible? On the cockpit, BW for HANA cockpit, can I activate my standard content and view my standard content on the cockpit?
No.
You can. Okay. But there's a caveat. What is the caveat? It is not theory based, but it is HTML based. Okay. Did I confuse you? Did that sentence make sense?
Yeah.
No, be honest, guys. Say no, Devanshu, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I didn't get it.
Yes, please come up.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a lot of terms at you. It's your responsibility to come back and say, that's gibberish for me. I don't understand what that means. So when I say you can activate your standard content on the web, you can transport your objects on the web. I am not talking about cockpit. I am talking about GUI for HTML. Has anyone used SAP GUI for HTML?
No.
No.
I'm going to show you. So if you want to activate your standard content on the web, how will you do that? Jump to your cockpit first. That's your step number 1. Okay. Right click on your project, say open BW for HANA cockpit. If your cockpit is installed correctly, and I showed you what you have to do to install it. Okay. If your cockpit is installed correctly, it's going to jump to the browser, and there I will use my user ID password, same user ID password which I have used. No, not this one. Wait a second. I think it is the first one. No, second one, I think. Sorry, I forgot which password I used to use. Let's try. Okay. And this is the same password what you are using for your BW backend system. Okay. So it's going to go and log into your BW for HANA cockpit. Okay, that's the correct password. So now it is opening the BW for HANA cockpit. Now BW for HANA cockpit, remember it is based on Fiori. Okay. Fiori is the latest technology which combines your HTML5 and some JavaScript and .NET and other languages. So it's basically your modern front end for SAP applications. For S4 also it's Fiori, and for BW also it's Fiori. For BW it's called BW for HANA Cockpit. For S4 it's called Fiori Launchpad for S4. So right now I am opening the BW for HANA Cockpit, which is also based on Fiori technology. Fiori, Fiori. Okay. So first time when you log in, it's going to take time. That's why it's taking time. I think I'm logging in after a long time and my cache is cleared for the browser. So if but second or third time onwards, it's going to be very fast. So let it open. Let's give it a few more seconds. Yeah, it's loading. So because it's web based, it is HTML based. A lot of components are being checked. A lot of components are being activated and rendered on the browser. So that's why it's taking time. So let's give it a few more seconds. But the main point I want to drive home is it is possible to do all your activities like transports, BI content activation on the web, but it is not Fiori. So there's a difference between Fiori and GUI for HTML. So when you work with BW for HANA, you will primarily work with 3 tools. What are those 3 tools? First is Eclipse, okay, foremost tool, where you will create the objects. So your modeling primarily will happen in Eclipse. Second tool is Cockpit, BW for HANA Cockpit, where you will do your monitoring. Modeling very less, monitoring more. So primary purpose of Cockpit right now so far is monitoring. Maybe gradually modeling will also come into Cockpit, but not right now. Right now it's only meant for monitoring. And the third tool which you will work with is SAP GUI for HTML. It's not a Fiori based, it's a simple HTML based, but it is going to give you this particular interface like your transport connection, BI content, metadata repository on the web. So you can do everything what you are doing here in RSA1 on the web as well. Okay, it's taking longer than usual. Okay, finally some icons are being loaded. So it is possible. Okay, but let's quickly find our data source here while it is loading. Okay, let's not waste time there. So we'll go to BI content. So I'll show you both the places. First, let's see here. Then we will jump to the cockpit while it's loading. So you can go to BI content and then, excuse me.
What is the third tool you talked about?
SAP GUI for HTML.
Okay.
Yeah. You can jump to SAP GUI for HTML from the cockpit itself. Either you can have a separate URL for SAP GUI for HTML, or you can jump from your cockpit to your SAP GUI for HTML. Okay, so cockpit is loaded. So in cockpit, okay, if you see, we have something called transport tiles, transport organizer, transport organizer tools, etc. Right? So that means I can jump to transport from here. But see what's going to happen. If I click on transport organizer tools on this tile, okay, it's opening a separate tab where it will say SAP GUI for HTML. Okay, let it open. It should say, if I'm not wrong, it should say SAP GUI for HTML. Okay. I don't want to miss that because it just comes for a few seconds on the screen and then it goes away. So I just wanted to show you that. So this is not your regular Fiori because there is no tile. There is no standard tile for the transport organizer tools, which is your SE03, I think. So that's why for those transaction codes where they could not or where they haven't created Fiori tiles yet, they have given an alternative, and that alternative is SAP GUI for HTML. As you can see, the end will be GUI. Okay, that means you are opening your GUI, your RSA1, this kind of interface on the web. Okay, it's still loading. Let it load for a minute. So we are in the BI content in RSA1 in Eclipse. and then we'll go to object types. You double click on object types, and the object types, we will select the data source. Okay, let it come up. Today it's a little bit slow than usual, but yeah, it's manageable. So now we will expand this. Where is our data source? Composite provider, HANA object data source. So click on data source, expand the data source, RSDS, okay. And then we will try to select and find that particular new data source. So double click on select objects. Excuse me. Yeah, see, SAP GUI for HTML. You guys can see that, right? This is not Fiori. This is opening a similar look and feel of RSA1 on the web. Okay, so here I have transport organizer tool. This is exactly same like your SE03. All your options are here. Okay, now if I go to home, let me go to home here. I'm not going to home of cockpit. I'm going to the home of SAP GUI for HTML. Okay, there you can see I can add transaction codes. Okay, by the way, this has come up. So let's try to find our data source. What was the name of the data source, guys? Anyone? Zero?
0i location analysis.
Yeah, 0i analysis.
Location analysis.
Location analysis.
Location analysis.
Location underscore analysis.
No.
Okay,
Location.
okay.
Location analysis.
That's it.
Cube.
Underscore cube.
No, continue.
Okay, continue. Cube.
I guess you have to give the ABAP SQL catalog name rather than the direct data source CDS view name. In the CDS view, you have the ABAP SQL catalog name, right? I guess.
Why it doesn't give me?
The CDS view name will not work here because we have to give the ABAP SQL name there. SQL view that was created for that SQL name.
No, this is the data source name. This is not the CDS view name.
Okay. So you can just put the 0i star, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to do that. No hits.
No hits. Then you go to if it is connected to the source system, you need to do the refresh of that ABAP CDS source system on the top of it. If you open the data sources, cancel this. Open the data sources in the BW modeling tools. Open the data source tree in the BW modeling tools.
Yeah, in the RSA1.
No. The modeling tools. Here.
Modeling.
BW.
You mean to say here I have to select, yeah. Right?
No. In the BW project, open the data source tree in the BW project.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. Go to the ABAP CDS connection there in the source system.
Yeah. You can find it from there. But if you have not activated it.
No. I guess there is a content metadata refresh first. It has to open ODP CDS there. Right click on the source system, storage CDS views. Yeah. Right click on the source system, open it. There is a step actually. There is an SAP note. If you're not able to find, you need to do the content metadata refresh there.
No. That will bring the CDS views which are there in S4.
Yes.
Data sources. No. These are the CDS views.
One minute. Open it.
Yeah.
No, I mean the source system connection open. Have you opened it?
Hey, this is my data source. This is my source system. I have expanded that.
No. Right click on it and say open.
Yeah, it will go into the source system configuration.
There on the right hand side, you have something called hierarchical button. It says content metadata refresh or something. Yeah, that refresh button.
This one, content update.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Maybe.
Because we faced this issue initially.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, but usually I find it there. It is a little strange why I could not find it. So I think it's doing the job. It's creating that refresh job. Wait a second. I will search for another data source. Let's see. By the way, it has come up. Okay, it is gone back to the same home. Okay, so let me go to transport organizer tools once again. Yeah, maybe it refreshed. Yeah, there you go. 0i, when I search with 0i, I think maybe it refreshed. Previously it wasn't. Maybe that's the issue. So these are all the S4 HANA you can see. And 0i underscore location is maybe let it refresh. Maybe it hasn't refreshed. Let me try to find it again. But all these 0i are basically your CDS view based data sources. 0i underscore location. Maybe it hasn't refreshed. Yeah, there it is. Not there. Yeah, but anyways, the point I wanted to show is that the data sources which are related to CDS views will be here in BW, not in your CDS, not in your S4 HANA. So if you try to find an RSA5, you will not find it. Okay, let me see if, okay, this is still opening. Yeah, I also have a link. So if you have a URL, which is like your main homepage of your SAP GUI for HTML, I have it saved. So you can go directly there also. So see, I have SAP GUI for HTML, which is SAP Easy Access. This is the link for the training server, which will say SAP BC GUI. Okay, it should say this. So if it says SAP BC GUI, that means it is the SAP GUI for HTML. And then I quickly wanted to show you that same business content transaction code. So it's still loading. Let it load. Let me see the job. Yeah, so job is finished. So maybe we'll have to just go back and come back again. Let's see if that did the job. Okay, this is still loading. Sorry, it's a little slower. I'll rather open a new session. 6 BW for HANA project, and let's go back to our BI content. Okay, so still loading. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. SAP GUI for HTML. My NetWeaver is 753, and my system is BW for HANA. Client is 100. So it's opening the home page for that. Let me go to RSA1 again. Yeah, today both are a little bit slow. Eclipse and the cockpit, the web front. Okay, so let's go to BI content. Maybe we'll just try with location analysis. Let's see if that comes up. Yeah, there you go. So this is the SAP Easy Access. SAP Easy Access, if you remember, this is from the backend, right? You can see my BW for HANA and the client name is 100. And then you will same thing, user menu, SAP menu, and you can add your favorite transaction code here. Okay, so you can right click and say add transaction code. This is the exact same functionality what you get in the backend. So you can insert a transaction, insert a folder, and I have added the frequently used transaction I use, like for metadata repository. This is SN37 job selection. This is twice, I think, and database, data warehouse, workbench. So if I click on data warehouse workbench, it's going to take me to that same RSA1 look and feel, where you can check the BI content, you can do the transport, same thing. So you can add your favorite transaction code here and jump. The only caveat is this is going to be a little slower than your backend, because this is web based and it takes some cache to be loaded. Then there are some HTML pages which gets loaded. HTML components is there. The DOM HTML DOM object gets loaded. So it's a little bit slow than the Eclipse. But not that slow. It's still manageable. Right now it's very slow because maybe something is happening on the training landscape, but usually it will not be this slow. But if you compare between Eclipse and here in the front end, then comparatively this will be slightly slower. Okay, so
What is DOM object, Dipanshu? You just
see, it's basically if you know HTML, then there is a DOM object, means that it's an object-oriented programming model within HTML.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's expand the data source again. Let's see if it got refreshed.
I guess we have to select the source system, right? On the top.
I think by default it is selected, but let me, we can still look at it. By default S4 is selected, I think, but yeah, we can. Let it expand, then I'll see if S4 is selected or not. Maybe BW was not selected, I don't know. So we'll select both. To be safe, we'll select both BW and S4, and then we'll go. Okay, so let's see what are the source systems selected. Okay, see, it is slow. So we'll let it run in the background and we'll come back to it once it is loaded properly. Okay. Okay, while it's loading. So this is the previous flow versus new flow. As you can see from BW side, no change, but data source side, yes, there is a change. Okay. Now, so while it's loading, it's a little bit slow. I'm sorry about that. Both the front end and the back end. So let's continue meanwhile with our discussion. Okay, so another important aspect, old versus new objects. You should know what has been replaced by what in BW for HANA compared to previous BW versions. So let's quickly have a look. InfoCube, which was one of the beloved info providers of the past, has now been replaced by Advanced DSO. Okay, and the type of Advanced DSO is your Data Mart Advanced DSO. Data Mart will give you the cube-like behavior. That means you cannot overwrite the records there. It will always be summation. There won't be any overwrite, and it will have your active table and inbound table. Changelog will not be used. So this has only two tables used: your active table and your inbound table. Inbound is the first table, and then your active table is also used. It is similar to your F fact table and your E fact table. Inbound table is your F fact table and active table is your E fact table. So that is how you can relate to this. Classic DSO, which is your standard DSO or itemized DSO, are also replaced by advanced DSOs. Now this type is standard for standard ADSO behavior, and staging ADSO is mimicking the behavior of write optimized DSO of the past. Okay. Then you had something called RDA, real-time data acquisition, right? So that RDA has been replaced by streaming process chain. So now when you create a process chain, in the properties of the process chain, there is a flag called streaming, activate streaming. Once you activate streaming, then it will behave as a real-time acquisition, meaning your daemon will be created on the source, okay, in the ODQmon, and then you can have real-time replication. So that is being replaced by your process chain of type streaming, RDA. Then you had virtual providers, a lot of virtual providers, primarily three types: on DTP, based on SAP HANA model, or based on function module. Okay, so the two virtual providers which were based on DTP and based on HANA model has been replaced by OpenODS View. So your virtual providers are replaced by OpenODS view, and your virtual provider based on function module, which was ABAP function module, has been replaced with BADI provider. So this is a special type of an info provider which starts with 3B. Okay, this is a BADI provider. BADI provider means you want the complete control with the code, with the ABAP, and similar to the function module, and you can create that and then use it in your composite provider or use it in the query. So BADI provider has replaced your virtual provider based on function module. The other ones have been replaced by OpenODS views. Then we used to have hybrid provider. Okay, hybrid provider again has been replaced by advanced DSO. Even in advanced DSO, you can have both historical data and current data for different purposes. You can have ADSOs of different types, and then it will mimic the behavior of hybrid provider. Then you used to have InfoSet and multi-provider. These were the virtual providers like sitting on top of the info cubes and ADSOs. Okay, abstraction layer has now both been replaced by composite provider. Composite provider of the past.
BADI provider is type of info provider.
Which one?
BADI
Multi-provider?
No, BADI provider.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is not like, it's a special type, meaning you have to write the code for it, for the BADI provider, and you have to know ABAP for that. But yeah, it is a type of info provider.
Okay.
So is it virtual?
Yes, virtual. See, all these three things are virtual, right? These ones are being replaced by these virtual providers of BW for HANA. Sorry, these virtual providers.
Yeah.
Then we had InfoSets and multi-providers replaced by composite provider of new type, HCPR. Composite provider also are two types, COPR and HCPR. HCPR is the new type, which is the default in BW for HANA, and it has replaced the previously existing composite provider. Okay, so if you have BW on HANA, you will most likely have COPR, and there is an SAP program to convert the old object type, like old composite provider type, to the new composite provider type. So we have to use that, and you can convert it to the new composite provider type. Then we used to have PSA, persistent staging area, right? Another very frequently used table in BW, which has been replaced by advanced DSO. Okay, so in advanced DSO, not just field based. Okay, this is so advanced DSO of certain types will allow you to use PSA like functionality, meaning it will allow you to edit the data. So in PSA, what we used to do, we used to get the data, edit the data if there is anything wrong, and then push the data from PSA to the targets. Similar behavior is there in advanced DSO. Not all types of advanced DSO. Only few types of advanced DSO will allow you to edit the data in inbound table and then send it across. We will discuss, when we will discuss the advanced DSO, I will tell you exactly which type of ADSOs have replaced the PSA functionality. Okay, so but PSA is no more there. ADSO inbound table replaced by ADSO inbound table. Then we have info object with master data access via HANA attribute view. Okay, info object could also be virtually sourced from a HANA view. So that has been replaced by OpenODS view of type master data. OpenODS view has transaction data, master data, etc. So of type master data is has replaced the info object with master data. SPO, semantically partitioned object, has been replaced by semantic groups of ADSOs. Semantic groups will now have only ADSOs, and you can definitely create a group similar to the concept of semantically partitioned object. Maybe if you have different regions, North America will have an ADSO, Europe will have another ADSO, Asia Pacific will have another ADSO. So if you want that kind of an arrangement, and then finally a composite provider sitting on top of these ADSOs, you can create a semantic group which will comprise of ADSOs. Then you used to have in workspaces, we used to have local composite provider Okay, COPR, now it has been replaced with CPRO, the local composite provider in workspace. This local composite provider of workspace is different than this composite provider, HCPR. Okay, both are different. So this will have certain functionality which is specifically designed for workspaces, and this will have functionality designed for regular usage with advanced DSOs. Okay, so don't think that the local composite provider is the same. They are two different objects. Technical content data sources, as we saw, replaced by ABAP CDS view based data sources, and one of the good examples are the statistical content, 0TCT. Now 0TCT has become purely virtual. That means you don't need to now load the data in the statistics cube. Okay, the 0TCT cubes, you don't need to do that. Now it's purely virtual based on CDS views. Your statistical content has been migrated to CDS views, and the views will start with 2CRV or 2CRVQ. 2CRVQ is for query and 2CRV is for your CDS views, which can give the same functionality which the statistics content used to give in the past. So an example. And data sources, of course, has been gradually being replaced by CDS view based data sources. Generic data sources, which was RSO2, right, has been replaced by ABAP CDS views based data sources. So you will create a Z data source in S4, and then you will create a data source based on that Z data source in S4. The data source is created in BW4 HANA, but the CDS view is created in S4 HANA, the Z CDS view. And this is a part of our training, so we are going to do that. Info package is gone. No more info package, replaced by DTP. RSA1 is still there, but the modeling tab from RSA1 is gone. Now everything in modeling you can do in Eclipse. Okay. By the way, has it come? Yes. So you see here, this is SAP GUI for HTML, and same things here. Process chain, source system, monitoring. Here also you can click on BI content, and from here, okay, you can go to the data source and activate the data source. That's very much possible. So same behavior of RSA1 on the web is called SAP GUI for HTML. So why is this useful? For people doing things on their cell phones, mobile phones, right? They will not have access to the system, right? So it is convenient for those people who are on the move, on the run, to access things on the web and perform things in the backend from the web. So for those user fraternity, SAP has given this SAP GUI for HTML, where you can do everything what you used to do in RSA1 on the web easily. Again, the caveat is it's going to be a little slower. So see, same thing here. You can also expand here, choose your source system, and then expand here, and then data source. You can select the data source, and all the options will be there to activate your standard content from here. So see, I'm not going into backend. Everything is possible on the web. But this is not theory based. Okay, so this is not your modern look and feel. What they have done is they just took the RSA1 and just created a HTML version of RSA1. That's all. Okay. The cockpit is the other tiles, like for example, process chain editor or process chain monitor, right? That is pure theory based. That will not be a simple HTML. That will be a user intuitive theory based look and feel. So that's the difference between a theory tile look and feel and your regular SAP GUI for HTML. Okay. So wherever they have not created a theory based application, they have given this alternative, which is SAP GUI for HTML. All right. Delta Q RSA7 gone. No more RSA7 now. Now we have ODQ Mon. Okay. But it can coexist with ODQ Mon. So don't think that ODQ Mon cannot sit together with RSA7. Both can sit with each other, parallel to each other in the same S4 HANA source or ECC on HANA source. So this is not a prerequisite that one has to go away. Both can coexist with each other. but not for the same data source. That's not recommended, because if you have for the same data source, then you will have duplicate records or inconsistent data. So for different data sources, some of them might have RSS7, which are already there, right? From the past you migrated, but those data sources are still using RSS7. And the new ones you are activating with ODP and ODQ, so they can use the subscription-based new model, and the remaining ones can continue using RSS7. PSA7 record manipulation. Yeah, this is actually, we already discussed the PSA replaced by ADSO. So this is not relevant. Actually, I'll just replace this with error stack. So DTP had something called error stack, right? That error stack has been replaced with something called DTIS, data transfer intermediate storage. The functionality is the same, the usability is the same, there is no change, just the naming convention has been changed and slight enhancement has been done for the error stack. So now the new name is data transfer intermediate storage. APD of the past is gone, now it is called HANA analysis process, HAP. CMOD based customer exits are gone, now it is RSROA baddie based enhancement spots. Okay, so for customer exit variables, you will not create the same CMOD project and then go to the different function modules and do it. Now it is completely based on baddies. Baddie is a OOPS concept, object oriented concept in ABAP. Data archiving process DAP of the past has been replaced by DTO, data tiering optimization in BW for HANA. RSA1 conversion of logical system is same, nothing has changed. You just have to know the correct place. Now you have to, in Eclipse, within Eclipse, you have to go to the edit, transport conversion of logical system names, and you can do all those activities, administration related activities here as well. Process chain display component hierarchy, okay. Process chain had a special folder which was called display component hierarchy in the past. Now it is changed to info areas. Info areas have replaced your display component hierarchy. That means the folders under which the process chains you could find. Okay. Now it is info areas. Same info object catalog. It was a special type of a folder which was called key figure info object catalog, characteristic info object catalog. Now it has also been replaced by info areas. So that in that way it is all consistent. Your info providers are also under info areas. Your process chains are also under info areas. Your info objects are also under info areas. And just to show you a pictorial depiction, this is what has happened from classic BW to BW for HANA, meaning your multi-provider, info set, composite provider, everything has been now changed into two objects for virtual access. The top one is for virtual access. The bottom ones are for persistent access. Virtual providers are composite and OpenODS views. Persistents are ADS on info object. And of course, for connectivity, you have data source, which is still there. And you can now easily integrate your HANA, native HANA objects, such as your calculation views and any HANA SQL modeling options. So those can be easily integrated. Basically, your calculation view is the main object which you will integrate with your PW. Okay. Reporting side, also you should know Bex Query Designer is gone. Now it is BWMT, meaning your Eclipse based Query Designer. Analyzer is gone. AO analysis for Excel is there for on-premise, and analysis cloud SAC is for their cloud based. Bex Web has gone. Now it is replaced by Lumira Designer for on-premise, SAC for cloud. Bex Information Broadcasting is gone. SAP Business Object Scheduling tool in the business objects itself has replaced the information broadcasting. Integrated planning is no more there. Bex Integrated Planning IP is gone. Now it is been renamed to BPC 11 embedded version for BW for HANA. Also sometimes also called BPC for HANA. Okay, I think it is installed in our landscape. Let me quickly check. So click on the project if you want to check whether BPC installed or not. Go to properties and then yeah, there you go. So you see BPC for HANA version is installed here. Okay, so if you see it here, BPC for HANA, that means this is your embedded BPC, which is nothing but same as IP. So it is using the same IP concepts. planning functions, planning sequences, data slices, CRs, etc. But everything is now based on AMDP. Of course, the planning functions code is now AMDP, no more Fox scripts. So that IP terminology is no more there. It is now called BPC for HANA or BPC 11.0 add-on embedded for BW for HANA. And for cloud-based solutions, it is of course SAP Analytics Cloud, which can give you planning features as well. BO, what is the BO feature direction? You can see that we will only have 3 or 4 tools. So for the cloud, it will be SAC. For on-premise, it will be Lumira, AO, Crystal Reports, and Webby. 4 tools, that's all. Okay. And the Design Studio is also gone. Design Studio has been merged with Lumira 2.x. Okay. And now we have only 3 tools or 4 tools for on-premise, 1 tool for cloud. And gradually, I think these will also get merged and further consolidation will happen. Future tool is definitely SAP Analytics Cloud, but only for cloud-based solutions. For on-premise, you will still have the business objects suite of tools. Okay. And still relevant, as we discussed, info sources are very much relevant. Transformation is very much relevant. Of course, transformation has changed slightly because now we have HANA runtime, okay, in transformation, plus ABAP runtime. So you can choose either HANA runtime or ABAP runtime. And if you choose HANA runtime, then your scripts, your start routine, your end routine, your field routine, your expert routine, everything will become a AMDP based method. Then you have the DTP, which are still there. Data sources still there. Export data sources, which starts with 8 star, are still relevant. You can still generate export data sources to send the data out of BW. So it is still there. Open up destinations are still there. We can create open up destinations. Process change very much there. APD of course is gone, but HAP analysis process is still there. Info area is still there, and analysis authorizations are also very much still there. So these are the relevant objects for BW for HANA, which are still there.
Devanshu, what about the BEX user exit variable?
Yeah, so customer exit variables will, so there are 2 types of customer exit variables. One is called the regular customer exit variables that has been not replaced, but that is now implemented using BADI. So you have to create an enhancement spot, then you have to create a BADI implementation and then write your code. The second type of customer exit is called HANA exit variables. So with new BW queries, now the SAP has given something called HANA exit variables. So HANA exit variables are also BADI, but that BADI is your AMDP based class and method BADI. But the usual customer exit is regular BADI, regular class, regular method. The HANA exit is AMDP based class and method, but both are now BADI. You will not go to your CMOD anymore. You will go to your SE18 and SE19 T codes and you will create the BADIs there. We will create it, don't worry. We are going to create BADI for both types, customer exit and HANA exit.
So Devanshu, for existing BADIs, for existing CMOD in BEX, it will work, right?
It will work. It will work. See, the compatibility has been given by SAP and they have to, because most of the code in the world in BW is still on CMOD, right? They have not moved to BADI. Few customers have moved to BADI. So the BADI, how it works is when the data source will be called in the backend, when you trigger the extraction, it will first go to the BADI and check either whether any enhancements are created or not for that BADI. If it does not find any enhancement, then it will jump to CMOD and check your code. So don't worry, it is covered.
Thank you. It's good. Thank you so much.
Can you please document here if you don't mind?
Sorry?
Can you please document the...
It is there. Don't worry. It's coming up.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Everything is
how about the SAP delivered this user variables? Like there are some like zero date.
There. The SAP exit. You're talking about the SAP exit variables.
Correct.
Yeah, they are there. Yes, they are very much there.
Okay.
Again, those SAP exits might be changed to an AMDP based class and method in the backend, okay, to make it faster. But SAP exits are definitely very much there. Okay, so let's quickly introduce you to Hello Cockpit. Okay, one of the most frequently used application, I would say, for BW consultants. Today, probably I will not be able to show you the data source activation. We will continue tomorrow, where we will see how to activate a Hello Cockpit and how to enhance the Hello Cockpit data sources. But today, I just want to quickly introduce you to Hello Cockpit. Okay. Okay, this one we'll see later, but we got the idea that CDS view will be in S4 and data source will be in BW4. Okay, so I'm closing everything. Now, what is Hello Cockpit? Hello stands for logistics. So logistics cockpit is an application which combines certain modules under that application. And there is a special process to activate the standard data sources for logistics cockpit. Okay. And the way you can access the logistics cockpit, which we are going to do in our training exercise, we are going to activate the data sources for header and item. So I'm going to quickly show you. So I'm going to show you two things, then we'll stop the class. We'll go to the post Q&A. The two things is, first, I'm going to introduce you to Hello Cockpit, and we will see that whether they are relevant or not. And second thing I want to show you is the scenario, the customer requirement given to us. Okay, so everything now, from now on, it will be driven by the customer scenario. And I already gave you a glimpse of the customer scenario. We'll go into the detail and see that what are the two reports, what are the enhancements needed, and what is the final output the customer wants in SAC, SAP Analytics Cloud. So we'll quickly see that. First, introduction to Hello Cockpit. So Control 6, new session for S4HANA. And there you will go to a transaction code which is called LBWE. LBWE is the Logistics Cockpit data source application where you can see the different modules which are combined in logistics application. For example, purchasing, inventory, quality, shop floor, shipment, sales, etc. Every module has been given a number by SAP. Okay, this is all given by SAP. This is standard data sources. So 2 is for purchasing, 3 is for inventory, 4 shop floor control, quality, invoice verification, so on and so forth. If you expand that application header, you will see certain structures which are called extract structures. So if you expand that, you will see that we have multiple extract structures under the 11 module, which is your sales. Okay. Then you have 12 for shipping, same extract structures will be there. Then you have 13 for billing, extract structures will be there. And these extract structures are nothing but your structure for your data source. So under data source, you will see these are all the standard data sources, 2LIS star. Okay. They will all have extract structure and they will also be associated with communication structure. So I'll tell you the detail tomorrow, the difference between extract structure and communication structure and how they are connected. And we will activate the data source together. We'll enhance the data source together using the new BADI, using the new method of BADI. So this is what is Hello Cockpit. It will give you a bunch of applications and all the data sources and extract structure for that application. And if you want to use these data sources, then you'll have to come here and you will have to maintain their structure. You'll have to activate the job control, the update method, and then you can start using the data sources from Logistics Cockpit. Okay, so this is what is Hello Cockpit. There are a lot of things associated with Hello Cockpit, like we have a concept of setup tables, we have a concept of the queues, like your LBW queue, which are your extraction queue related transaction codes, and then we have the RSA3 transaction code to test. Once it is activated and we need to test it, and the RSA3 T code is to test these data sources. So for BW consultants, this is very basic, so they already know it. But for people who are new to BW or don't have any background, this will be important. Okay, so we are going to use Hello Cockpit and we are going to use CDS views. So what we are going to do is, we are going to first look at the customer scenario. What is the requirement? So the requirement is in the materials folder. So if you go to materials folder, there is something called scenario, report, and data source fields. Okay, this is my customer scenario. I will actually rename it to customer scenario so that you know what it is. And within that, you will have, forget about this historical data, you can ignore them for the time being. This also you can ignore. So these first two files and last two files you can ignore. The middle one is the main file. In that the scenario is maintained. And let me open that. Yeah. So we have two reports. At the end of this training, you will be creating two reports in SAC, or basically one story which will combine these two reports in SAC. And what are those reports? First report will give me the sales order details. That means which customer on which month of the year had how many orders. That will be one report, which will be a number of orders for the customer, so that you know that which customer is giving you the most business or the maximum business. And then the second one is for the details of quantity and the value of those orders. That means from that customer in that month of the year, what was the quantity ordered, what was the unit of quantity. So 83 kilos were ordered by this customer in the month of January, and the total USD value of those 83 kilo was 4,887 US dollars. So now I'm going into item level, detail level, and I'm checking for each customer what was the quantity, what was the value of the order. And this is my main report. For the slice and dice, I will have these objects: material, sales stock, distribution channel, division, company code. And we will have variables also for sales stock, distribution channel, division, and company code. Plus we will have some customer exit variables and HANA exit variables, which are based on baddies. So we are going to create a baddie, and we are going to see how to implement the AMDP here. So now this is based on AMDP. So we will create an AMDP class, we will create an AMDP method, and we will see how to implement that. We'll also debug those AMDP methods in class. So this is my overall requirement. Please go through this sheet and get familiar with the overall requirement, because everything based on the data source fields, the info source fields, the advanced DSO structure, everything will be based on the requirement. And from the enhancement standpoint, you will have the enhancement for the header data source. There are two enhancements. Land one is for country, name one is for name. So these are the two enhancements. That means these are not a part of the standard data source. You have to add them, and then you have to also write the logic to populate them. That is enhancement for sales header. Similarly, there will be enhancement for sales item. What is enhancement? There is material type, which will not be there in the standard data source fields. You will have to add material type mtart, and that is an enhancement we will do via the baddie. So from a source standpoint, these are my source fields, these are the enhancements, and these are the BW reports we'll have to create. Okay. So with that, I would like to stop for today. It's already 10:31. So I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you very much for attending the 5th session. We are going to continue this journey tomorrow with data source activation. I'll tell you a special step required in S4, which was not there previously, a logistics cockpit, and then we will enhance these data sources. Okay, I'll stop the recording. Thank you.